Many people believe that 666 is literally marked on the forehead and right hand. Some think that the barcodes is a 666, others also believe that 666 is a microchip that will be placed on the hand and forehead. Many people also say that the vaccine for COVID is the 666. Some interpret the number 666 based on a person's name using Roman numerals, such as the name Ellen Gould White. If you add the equivalent of Roman numerals to the name Ellen Gould White, the result is 666. Others also believe that the number of the beast is the Pope of the Roman Catholic Church. Because of the title used by the Pope, this is seen in his crown, written in the Latin word that says, Vicarius Filii Dei, which means Vicar of Christ or representative of the Son of God. They say if we calculate the phrases Vicarius Filii Dei using Roman numerals, the result is 666. Now friends, do you want to know what the meaning of the number 666? Just keep watching this video so you can know what 666 really is. Before we continue, if you haven't subscribed to this channel, please subscribe, my dear brothers and sisters. The number 666 or 666. Revelation chapter 13 verse 18. Here is wisdom. Let him that hath understanding count the number of the beast. For it is the number of a man, and his number is 666. First I would like to highlight the word wisdom. Revelation 13 concludes with a call to the reader to figure out the number of the beast, which is 666. For this, a special wisdom and understanding are needed. The wisdom here does not refer to a brilliant intellectual ability but to the divine discernment imparted by the Holy Spirit. Proverbs chapter 2 verse 6. For the Lord gives wisdom. From his mouth come knowledge and understanding. Daniel chapter 2 verse 21. He gives wisdom to the wise, and knowledge to those who have understanding. James tells us that if we ask God for wisdom, he will readily give it to us. James 1 verse 5. The reference to wisdom and understanding in Revelation 13 verse 18 clearly points to Daniel 12 verse 10. Here, Daniel was told to seal his book, the part that described the persecution of God's people, until the time of the end, when it will be unsealed. The wise will get an understanding of those prophecies and be purged, purified and refined, but the wicked will act wickedly, and none of the wicked will understand. Revelation 13 verse 18 reflects on this passage from Daniel. God's end-time people will need divinely imparted wisdom to discern the deceptive character of the beast and to be protected from the end-time deception. However, all those who lack this wisdom will become victims of the end-time deception. 2 Thessalonians 2 verses 10 to 12, Revelation 13 verse 8. I'd like to tell you friends why it's wrong to use the name when interpreting 666. Take for example the word Vicarius Filii Dei. Because many consider it to be the number of the beast. Throughout Christian history, many attempts have been made to determine the identity behind the number 666. A popular method has involved the use of gematria, a technique in which the letters of the alphabet are associated with numbers. Before the invention of Arabic numbers, letters of the Hebrew, Greek, and Roman alphabets had numerical values. For instance, A stood for 1, B for 2, C for 3, etc. Using gematria, the numerals from a person's name or title have been added to make the number 666. As a result, many different proposals have been put forward. Almost every generation of Christians has applied the number 666 to its own time. In the 17th century, the German classical scholar Andreas Hellwig applied the numerical value of the number 666 to the Latin inscription Vicarius Filii Dei. spelled Vicarius Filii Dei in English, meaning Vicar of the Son of God, assuming it to be the title of the papacy. Uriah Smith popularized this view among Adventists in his commentary on Revelation, making the further claim that the title was inscribed on a papal crown. Applying the Latin phrase Vicarius Filii Dei to 666 is problematic for several reasons. First, there is no documented evidence, despite the claims, that the phrase has ever appeared on the papal tiara or mitre. Although in the past, some popes were occasionally referred to as Vicarius Filii Dei, there is no evidence that this has ever been an official papal title. Second, nowhere in Revelation is gematria used as the method of calculation. Numbers in Revelation regularly have symbolic meanings. When, for example, in the following passage, Revelation 14 verse 3, the 144,000 are described as having the name of God on their heads. This does not call for a mathematical calculation but for the spiritual understanding of the name. Third, the text does not specify the language that the name of the beast is written in. In Revelation, when a name has a special meaning, the language is regularly specified as either written, in Hebrew, Revelation 9 verse 11, 16 verse 16, or, in Greek, 9 verse 11. Latin is not used in Revelation, and there is no indication that 666 could be decoded in this language. If the meaning of the beast's name should be decoded by using the numerical value of its letters, the language would be specified, as it is in all other cases in the book. Fourth, Revelation 13 clearly shows that the number 666 applies exclusively to the time of the end, not before. The number is identified with the sea beast after the healing of its mortal wound, and during the time that the lamb-like beast causes the earth's inhabitants to receive the sea beast's mark, which consists of its name or its number. God's people are called to figure out the meaning of this number, so they may perceive the true nature of the beast and avoid being deceived by it. Applying 666 to particular historical figures or to the medieval Latin inscription Vicarius Filii Dei does not fit the end-time context in which the beast's worshippers will receive the mark O. F. The beast. Meaning of the number 666. What, then, is the meaning of the number 666? Revelation defines 666 as a human number. The Greek phrase arithmos anthropo can be translated as, the number of a man, or, the number of humanity. It is obvious that the latter meaning is true here. This is similar to Revelation 22 verse 17, where metron anthropo clearly means, human measurement. The beast of Revelation 13 does not refer to a certain person who will appear during the time of the end, rather. The chapter refers to a religio-political system that opposes God. The best way to understand 666 is from a spiritual perspective. 7 in the Bible is the divine number that expresses God's perfection. Being one short of 7, 6 represents humanity falling short of the divine perfection. This is based on the fact that humans were created on the sixth day, a day prior to the completion of the full week of 7 days. Humans find their purpose only in the number 7 by acknowledging God as their Creator and Redeemer. Thus, 666 refers to humanity apart from God. Such an understanding is further affirmed by 1 Kings 10 verse 14. Now the weight of gold that came to Solomon in 1 year was 666 talents of gold. The only other text in the Bible that mentions 666. It states that King Solomon's annual income was 666 talents of gold. King Solomon was once faithful to God. However, right after this statement, he turned away from God as he started accumulating gold in his palace, multiplying chariots and horsemen, and taking many foreign wives for himself. This was clearly a violation of God's instruction to the Israelite kings, as recorded in Deuteronomy 17 verses 16 and 17. The purpose of this law was to keep Israelite kings from pride and from being exalted above their brothers. In disobeying the divine instruction, King Solomon completely turned away from God, became filled with pride and arrogance, and served images of other gods, leading his people away from God. Thus, 666 expressed the sum of all his successes and achievements apart from God. Solomon credited himself, instead of God, for all his achievements and prosperity. Even the temple that he built to God's glory became a token of his own pride and arrogance. In light of this Old Testament background, the beast's number in Revelation 13 refers to the human system that has turned away from God and is in Satan's service. As such, this rebellious system opposes God, exalts itself above God, and claims the titles and prerogatives of God. It demands worship from the world's people in place of Christ. Revelation 13 verses 6 to 8. As stated earlier, this is a clear reference to apostate Christianity that, like Solomon, was once faithful to God but eventually turned away from him. At the end time, this system, also like Solomon, will lead people away from God to Satan's side and will persecute those who remain faithful to God and keep his commandments. Revelation 13 verse 15. The number of Babylon. It is significant that 666 refers to the sea beast in association with the lamb-like beast and the dragon. The number 666 consists of a triple six, expressed in Greek as hexakosioi hexakonta hex. This trifold 6 hex identifies the Satanic Triune League, the dragon, the sea beast, and the earth beast, as the counterfeit of the Trinity of God specified in Revelation chapter 1 verses 4 to 6. This satanic triad comprises the end-time religious system called Babylon after ancient Babylon in the Old Testament, the earthly power that stood in opposition to the religion of the true God and tree. B. To control the world. From its beginning, Babylon stood as an incarnation of godless power in opposition to God. In Isaiah 14 verses 12 to 14, the king of Babylon is a symbol of Lucifer and his behavior. The meaning of 666 is found in the fact that 6 is the number of Babylon. The ancient Babylonian counting system was based on the sexagesimal system, which categorized numbers by 6 and 60. We still use the Babylonian measurement for angles 90, 180, and 360 degrees, and time, 60 seconds, 60 minutes, and 24 hours. In addition, the number 6 in Babylon had a religious significance. It was the number of chief gods in the Babylonian pantheon. This explains why King Nebuchadnezzar's statue was 60 cubits high and 6 cubits wide. Daniel 3 verse 1. Much of the language in Revelation 13 verses 14 to 18 echoes Daniel 3, where Nebuchadnezzar enforced image worship upon people. The image, the number 6, worshipping the image, the death threat, and the universality of the scene. Daniel 3 verses 1 to 6. It becomes obvious that Daniel 3 is the backdrop of the scene in Revelation 13 verses 14 to 18. Revelation 13 tells us that the story of Daniel 3 will be repeated at the time of the end on a worldwide scale. People will have to make their choice: to worship the image or to remain faithful to God. This is the context that defines the theological meaning of 666 as the Babylonian number, the number of rebellious humanity, in Revelation. This number refers to the end-time system that will cause the people in the world to side with Satan and worship the beast with the now-healed wound. All who receive the mark of the beast side with the system that, like the Babylon of old, exalts itself above God and tries to take God's place in the world. 2 Thessalonians 2 verse 3 and 4. But this system is nothing more than a human institution counterfeiting God yet falling short of the divine character. God's message to this system is the same as it was to the Old Testament king of Tyre who claimed to be God. You are a man and not God. Ezekiel 28 verse 9. Such an identification of this end-time Antichrist power and system requires divine wisdom and discernment rather than intellectual cleverness and calculation. God wants us to study His words, especially to pay attention to the prophecies in order for us to be prepared for what will happen in the last days. Revelation chapter 1 verses 3. Blessed is the one who reads aloud the words of this prophecy, and blessed are those who hear, and who keep what is written in it, for the time is near.